There was no war, no final battle between giants. And yet, one of the most significant ecological shifts in Earth's history quietly brought an entire world to its end. This is the story of how two continents came together, and how one of them, over time, lost much of what once made it unique. To understand why so many prehistoric species disappeared, we need to step back and look at two very different worlds before they were connected. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to begin this journey. For tens of millions of years, South America existed in isolation. After breaking away from Gondwana, it became a continent apart, cut off from the rest of the world. In that isolation, life followed its own path. Without constant pressure from large predators, the animals here were larger, slower, and highly specialized. They adapted to an environment that had been stable for a very long time. Among them was Megatherium, a giant ground sloth reaching up to 20 feet in length and weighing approximately 4 tons. It moved deliberately, using powerful limbs and long claws to pull down branches and feed on vegetation such as yucca and agave. In this environment, threats were limited, and its massive size helped it avoid potential predators. Nearby, another giant moved across the landscape, Doedicurus. Covered in a thick armored shell, it resembled an enormous armadillo. Its tail ended in a heavy, spiked club, capable of delivering powerful defensive blows. This was an animal built not to escape danger, but to withstand it. In most parts of the world, large carnivorous mammals dominated this role. But in South America, the top hunters were something else entirely. The open plains were ruled by the Forus racidae. These were flightless birds. Some individuals could stand over 10 feet tall. They relied on speed, powerful legs, and a sharp, axe-like beak to hunt smaller animals. They did not chase prey over long distances. Instead, they struck quickly, delivering precise, decisive blows. Alongside them lived a range of unusual herbivores found nowhere else. Creatures like Macrochinia with its long neck and flexible snout, and Toxodon, a heavy-bodied grazer with features resembling both rhinos and hippos. These animals were not simply strange. They were the result of millions of years of independent evolution. Together, they formed an ecosystem that functioned on its own terms. Predators were fewer, movement was often slower, and many species relied on size, armor, or specialization rather than speed or coordination. For millions of years, that balance held, until, eventually, isolation came to an end. While South America developed in isolation, North America followed a very different path. For long periods of time, it remained connected to Eurasia through a northern land bridge known as Beringia. This connection allowed animals to migrate between the continents. New predators arrived, new prey followed, and with each wave, the balance shifted. Over time, this created a landscape defined by constant pressure. Among the most recognizable predators was Smilodon. In an era defined by giants, Smilodon was the ultimate masterpiece of predatory evolution. Armed with 7-inch blades, it could silence the largest beasts of the Ice Age in seconds. But it was not alone. Canis dirus approached hunting in an entirely different way. Not in size alone, but in coordination, persistence, and control. These animals relied on coordination. Working together, they could track movement, pressure their targets, and take advantage of weakness over time. This level of cooperation placed a different kind of demand on the animals they hunted. Across the plains, herds of grazing mammals responded. Early horses, camelids, and other ungulates developed greater mobility and awareness. They moved in groups. They reacted quickly. Larger herbivores, such as the gomphotheres, traveled across wide territories, adjusting to changing conditions in the presence of multiple predators. In this environment, survival depended on more than size or defense. It required awareness, timing, and the ability to respond to constant change. Over many generations, this ongoing interaction shaped both hunters and prey. Predators became more efficient. Prey became more responsive. In contrast to the slower, more specialized ecosystems of South America, North America functioned as a true arena of survival. Not because it was more dangerous in a single moment, but because pressure never truly eased. The predators of the North were built for a race that never ended, and soon they would bring that relentless pace to a world that had long been without it. Around 3 million years ago, a narrow strip of land began to rise between North and South America. This formation, known as the Isthmus of Panama, did not appear overnight. It emerged gradually as tectonic forces lifted the seafloor and reshaped ocean currents. And by around 2.7 million years ago, the land bridge had formed a continuous path. For the first time in tens of millions of years, animals could move freely between the two continents. From the north came a wide range of species. Predators such as Smilodon and early members of the dog family began to spread southward. Alongside them moved large herbivores, gomphotheres, distant relatives of modern elephants, and early camelids adapted for endurance across open landscapes. These were animals shaped by constant competition. In a new environment, that experience gave them a survival advantage. From a different perspective, movement also occurred in the opposite direction. From South America, species such as giant ground sloths, glyptodonts, and even some of the great flightless birds began to move northward. One of them, the terror bird known as Titanus, a terror bird that had once established a presence in North America. Now it was no longer alone, but part of a shifting tide of life between continents. But these movements were not equal in outcome. Species from the north tended to spread more successfully. Part of this difference came from climate. Animals adapted to a wider range of temperatures could move south into warmer environments with relative ease. But species from the south, accustomed to stable, warmer conditions, faced increasing challenges as they moved northward. Competition also played a role. In South America, many ecosystems had developed with fewer large, highly specialized placental predators. The arrival of new hunters and new grazing animals began to alter the balance. Not suddenly, but steadily. Resources were shared differently. Movement patterns shifted, and over time, the structure of entire ecosystems began to change. It was the beginning of a long transition, one that would continue to unfold over hundreds of thousands of years. At first, the changes were gradual, but over time, distance disappeared, and pressure became something else: contact. Hunters such as Smilodon and early members of the dog family were shaped by environments where competition never paused. Some relied on precision and timing. Others depended on coordination, tracking movement, adjusting strategy, and working together. These were not isolated encounters. They were repeated across generations. For the animals of South America, this introduced a new kind of challenge. Species such as Megatherium and Doedicurus were not defenseless. Their size, their armor, their strength, these had served them well for millions of years. However, no matter how resilient they were, they could not adapt to the constant pressure from coordinated predators. At the same time, the land itself was shifting. Open grasslands expanded, replacing parts of the older habitats. In these environments, mobility became increasingly critical. Herbivores from the north, already adapted to speed and long-distance movement, gained a decisive advantage, spreading rapidly across the landscape. This was not a sudden replacement. It happened gradually. The bridging of North and South America ignited a relentless evolutionary conflict, forever reshaping the continent's flora and fauna. The Phorusrhacidae, once dominant across the landscape, began to lose their position. As new predators arrived, and as environments changed, the role they once held became harder to maintain. In an era shaped by adaptation, even dominance had limits. What emerged was not destruction, but replacement. Not immediate, but inevitable. Over time, the balance began to shift, and a world that had remained stable for millions of years slowly gave way to something new. The ecosystem changed. Pressure mounted. But for millions of years, the pressures prehistoric creatures faced did not stop there. This time, it would be different. Around 12,000 years ago, humans entered the Americas, and unlike any predator before them, they did not simply adapt to the environment, they changed it. They hunted with coordination. They planned. They targeted large animals, slow-moving. Species like Megatherium, mammoth, and other megafauna were no longer facing natural selection alone. They were facing something new, a predator that did not rely on speed or size, but on strategy. In a world already weakened by environmental change, this pressure did not remain isolated. Across North and South America, the impact was widespread. In North America alone, at least 38 genera of large mammals disappeared. In the South, many of the continent's most unique prehistoric creatures followed a similar path. Hunting reduced populations. Smaller populations meant less genetic resilience. At the same time, humans began to alter landscapes. Through fire, movement, and resource use, habitats shifted faster. Food sources became less predictable. For large animals, this created a chain reaction. They reproduced slowly. They required vast territories. And once their numbers began to fall, recovery became increasingly unlikely. This was no longer a gradual replacement. It collapsed. In an era once defined by giants, the balance finally broke. Many of the largest and most distinctive species disappeared, not because they failed to survive before, but because the conditions had changed faster than they could adapt. What remained were the survivors, smaller, more flexible, species that could live alongside a new force in the ecosystem. The giants are gone, but their legacy endures to this day, continuing to write the unfinished story of survival. The Great American Biotic Interchange was not a single event. It was a process shaped by movement, competition, and time. Two continents met, and in the end, neither remained the same. Entire ecosystems were reshaped. Some species adapted, others faded. And many of the most remarkable prehistoric creatures that ever walked this earth are now gone. Subscribe to the channel to explore the lost world of prehistory. Thank you for watching.